good morning. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody survived all of the rains from yesterday. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Define Her Story. Just as a reminder, this is an interactive talk show. So please, as you're watching, whether it's live or during the replay, to ask questions, to comment and give your answers to the questions that are asked. We'd love to hear from you. I would also like to now introduce our fabulous panelists. I have Mitra Mastofi, who is the author of This Was No Coincidence. We have Brandy Seifert, who is the Hollywood hippie of Hollywood Hippie Cosmetics. We have Alicia Elatasi, who is the fabulous owner of Thinking Girls Boutique and the location where we're doing our talk show. And we also have Lakeisha Sabra, who is the online visibility strategist. She is going to help us all find where we're going to be online.
That's right.
So today's topic is women in leadership. So I asked everyone to kind of be thinking about their experiences through leadership and helping them be leadership, that kind of thing. So we hear lots of statistics about how there's women in leadership, but we aren't really well represented past like middle management. So I wanted to kind of talk about that today and kind of talk about why is that the case. So first, what I was just kind of wondering is our experience. Have any of y'all ever been in leadership programs before?
Yes.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, like, was it in corporate or?
For me, my leadership program started in high school.
Oh, wow.
Because, so we used to have funding because one of my high school is a very low income high school. So we used to bring in corporations to come in and mentor us and give us some funding for like different programs. So they used to take a lot of us into maybe corporate world. Like back then was the Tenneco Oil Company. So they used to take us into those offices, and we were young. We didn't know what we were doing. But a lot of those people took us on and really started to mentor us and give us some ideas. And the first thing that they did, part of the leadership program, is where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Nice.
Which is, I think, a good question to start with. You know, even as a young girl, like, what do you want to do with your life? You're 16, you're 17. Where are you heading? Do you want to go to college? Even though we didn't have money for college, they always told us, there's always a way. There's always a way. You'll figure it out and you will find that way. So for me, it started back then.
Okay. Anybody have any leadership programs that you went through, maybe like in corporate or anything?
I was in corporate America. I went through a leadership program.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an awesome program, actually. It was through an insurance company that I worked with, that I actually did the majority of my corporate career with, actually. And so I started out as a clerk in the insurance industry. And that leadership program actually allowed me to work my way up to Director of Training and Development.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I had a mentor. I had several different mentors throughout that stage. So the program took you through different mentors in different spaces. And it also designed an actual career plan and path for you. So depending on which way you wanted to go within your career, it just helps you to get there even faster.
Very nice.
It's a great program.
I never had a leadership program necessarily, but as I was in management for a while, I did go through a few classes and courses that helped you with coaching and leadership and things like that, and that helped a lot.
I took 2 leadership courses outside of corporate. One was an advanced course through this organization called More to Life, and it was a heuristic approach to training. So they basically trained us and gave us simulations on leadership roles, and to see when we would crack. And the other one, after I cracked, I took many years later, actually recently, I took a Zen Leadership retreat at Tasahara in California, and that was magnificent. I highly recommend it. It was very needed, because you could be a leader, but if you can be a Zen leader, you can actually accomplish more.
Yes, definitely. I can imagine. How does that differ between, like, with your leadership experience? How do you think that differed with the Zen and the other programs?
I thought I had all the attributes of a leader, but the one missing element was the Zen part. I was a very frustrated leader. I was very angry, and I wasn't getting anything, achieved, because I was just so constantly on edge. Like, get it done, people. Why aren't you listening to me? But learning about how to be a Zen, having the aspect of Zen mind, can
Yeah.
really, really push that leadership to another level.
I
Yeah.
just finished reading a book by Phil Knight. He is the founder of Nike, and he
cool.
said that one of the key things that he learned through leadership was to be more zen.
Oh,
Because he
absolutely.
used to travel to Japan to look for the shoes
Right.
and the designers, and he learned a lot from the Japanese.
Oh, absolutely, right.
So that's interesting that you mentioned that
Yeah.
because that's something that I've kind of been interested in doing. You know, as
Yeah.
as a leader,
Yeah.
Right.
is
Very
becoming
important.
more zen. It reminds me of the Bulls coach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Phil Jackson
Mm-hmm.
is another guy that was very zen. His leadership
Yeah.
style comes from that
Nice.
Right.
background.
Wow.
It's very cool.
Should
Right.
do like a
Yeah.
Zen retreat leadership.
We should.
Right.
Totally should.
Because I mean, even
But it makes
outside
sense.
of a corporate role, outside of your work role, being anybody can use Zen
Yeah.
leadership because
Absolutely.
how do you want to lead
Yes.
yourself in your life
Exactly.
in a very calm and
It's a
with
different
equanimity?
approach.
Yeah.
And it trickles down your team too. If you don't have it together, they're like going to be like that too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
exactly. Because who wants to follow the angry leader, right? Right. Like you're working out of a place of fear, like, oh my god, I just got to get it done, or she's going to yell at me.
I have a
That
rope
kind
with
of-
nothing tied. Nobody's on the end. I'm just pulling this rope.
So earlier you had brought a couple of you have mentioned mentors.
Yeah.
So what was that? What do you really kind of remember your mentor saying to you and helping develop in you?
For me, I had a few different mentors. Okay, but the ones that really stood out to me the most were the ones that weren't afraid to share their story and share it in such a way that it wasn't only the successes but also the failures. You have so many people right now that are sharing so much about their success, and it's making it look so easy to
Oh,
some
yeah,
people.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
then when they don't reach the mark or feel like they hit the mark as soon as they should, and I'm sure a lot of you understand where I'm coming from with this, you get down on yourself and you're
Yes.
thinking, what's wrong with me? And it's not you. It's not you. It's just that those people aren't sharing the entire story. They're not sharing the backstory and how long it took them to get to where they are. And so just stay encouraged and know that if somebody is only sharing their successes, there are also some failures in there. So I really appreciated the fact that they were so open with sharing not only their successes but also their failures. And I honestly believe that that is what's really helped me with entrepreneurship thus far.
Yeah.
And to be okay with my failures and just really looking back at them as feedback only is because I had other people that were successful share those failures with me.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I had somebody share with me that the only time that you can call it a failure is if you don't learn from it.
Yes, and
So-
if you don't try, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yes.
it really is. So anytime that, otherwise it's called a learning experience.
That's it. That's it.
kind of thing.
That's it.
So, and it's that whole mind shift of
Yeah.
how you are approaching things.
Yes.
So one thing, and we've definitely hit on like one thing that might be kind of missing in some leadership programs, that kind of thing is like that whole Zen approach and everything. But I don't know if you guys got an opportunity. I know I had sent you the link for Susan. I'm going to probably murder her last name, so I apologize. Colatano. I think that's it. She's a Leading Women founder. And so I sent you guys the link to the TED Talk for her. And it was the first time that it ever even like been brought up to me. Because I mean, I've been through leadership programs,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of it focuses on like building your self-esteem and that kind of thing. And how are you doing in these stressful situations and that kind of thing. But the piece that she had talked about that's missing is that whole, what she called the 33% of showing women how to get those skills in business and in finance and those strategic relationships that are really important. So my question to you guys is, was that part of any of your leadership training? Was that any part of it at all, learning the business and finance?
Not for me.
No, I have to say not for me either. Not the
I'm
business.
self-taught,
Yeah.
basically, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Not-
Researching myself and finding books. But no, it was never a part of any leadership programs that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
that's
Even
you
within the
practicing your
corporate.
leadership in your own.
Right.
Yeah, I had to reach
Yeah.
out and find
Yeah.
resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because again, like I said, Susan, when she brought it up to, she was at a conference. So there's a panel of men that are up here, and it's all women who are in the audience. And so when she asked the guys, like, so what do you look for in a good leader? And they brought up all of these things, you know, like the leadership and confidence and being able to build a team and everything. And she says, okay, but if that's it, then why don't we see more women outside of mid-level management?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on business acumen, the finances, being able to see where the business is going financially, how you can be a part of it to grow it? And they're like, well, that's just a given.
Yeah, not every leader is an entrepreneur, though. I
Right.
don't think, you know.
Okay, so sorry for that. We're on part 2 of the talk show. We just have a little bit left. Just thank you for rejoining us. We had that little technical issues. So one of the things that, I mean, you brought up Kevin O'Leary with Shark Tank, and one of my sheroes is actually Barbara Corcoran.
Yeah, yeah, I love her too.
I love her,
Love
and
her.
she's absolutely amazing. And she actually this week, I thought it was very, very timely that one of the articles that she just shared was her thoughts about the glass ceiling. Because you hear so much about like the glass
Oh my
ceiling,
gosh,
male-dominated
yeah.
industries. So I actually had 2 women this week. Barbara Corcoran's article and then another friend of mine who both kind of discussed about the fact that they don't feel like there's a glass ceiling at all. And their approach to being like, Barbara Corcoran, what she said, I'm going to make sure that I say it right, is that she didn't think of herself as a woman. She just thought of herself as a player in the game. And so that's what I'm kind of wondering too, is that a piece of what's missing with women, is that we're so focused on there's this glass ceiling, so it's almost like the self-fulfilling prophecy is that I'm not going to get up there, I'm going to have to fight really hard, so we forget the emotion and that kind of stuff, and we get the angry and we're not zen, that kind of thing. So do you think that plays a piece in is how we approach it?
But they did treat her like a woman, because I read her book, her biography, and every time she would walk into a real estate deal, they relegated her to the side.
Oh, wow.
So they did treat her, even though she wanted to be a player, she had to assert herself all the time.
Yeah.
But the men definitely try to put her aside. So how are you being perceived, by the way? When we walk
Yeah.
into some place, do you come across as, yeah, I'm here to play, or I'm here as a woman to incorporate myself into the environment?
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you do? I mean,
Yeah.
it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things too in that article that she said that she did was she actually started to take advantage when she would go to some of those meetings, is that she would take advantage of the fact that she was a lady. So all of the guys are dressed in
Yeah.
black, dark suits, and she would dress in bright colors.
Yeah.
She said she had her skirt, she would actually even like roll it up a little bit so it showed off her legs a little bit more. So she actually took advantage of the fact, because then she says, you know, she's the thing that stands out, and so then people would actually kind of gravitate to her because she's the person who's standing out. So, but again, I just kind of wonder, is it just the way that we approach it? Do we just need to be like, look, dude, I am here and I'm going for this, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. This is what I need to do. I've got my goals and I'm focused on it, and I'm going to go for it, and I'm not going to act like. One of the things too that kind of hit me was that these are also 2 women who own their own very large businesses who just said this. I'm like, so is it easier for you to say that you're dancing on the ceiling
The whole
because
Sheryl Sandberg thing.
right?
The whole Lean-In thing that she got in trouble for. Because, like, okay, you can afford all these nannies. So obviously you can say that.
Right?
I think it is. It's one of those things where.
Yeah.
Are you different once you make it? Or.
I wonder how much
Or
wardrobe.
did you make it because you're
Yeah,
different?
'cause
Yeah.
you're different.
I wonder how much wardrobe has an influence on our leadership, because I come from a medical background and where we wear scrubs, you know, and I don't think I've ever really experienced that level of like bias and, you know, prejudice against, you know, what I wear, because there's my male counterpart wearing scrubs too. So I wonder how much of that is based on just appearance and
The uniformity kind of puts
yeah,
everybody
I
in
think
the
so.
lane.
I think so. Although I did have a friend as a chemical engineer, and she had to wear the same kind of suit and gear, and she still got a lot of harassment and everything as a female. So, you know, I don't know if it's just wardrobe we're talking about here, but
Yeah.
It's deeper than that, I think.
I think so. I think it's really interesting. I think the 2 women that did mention that there is no glass ceiling, like they're dancing on it, is because they're in a different mindset, right?
Yeah.
And so they've had to kind of conform, or not conform, but their mindset just is really different from women, like average women that are in corporate America today, right now. Like, I was there.
Yeah.
There is a ceiling, so to speak. There is a boys' club, you know, and can you be accepted to that club? Yes, I was. You know, I mean, you can, but does it take work? Does it take like she said, being a player. It does take you showing up and being a player of the game and not feeling as if you're already the victim because you're a woman and you're not going to be treated so fairly.
Yeah.
So I think if you go in with a different mindset, not thinking that, then, yes, you can become a player. After all, if you're not so focused on that glass ceiling, there is a way that you can shatter it. But don't be mistaken, there is a club.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think knowing the skill set that you need to have, like the full skill set of what it's like, that was something that was really very important and enlightening to me, because I was kind of like, granted I was in education, I think that's part of what was my block from moving forward up through administration, was because I really wasn't getting what it was that like the school was looking for, because each campus would be looking for something different. So what is it that they're looking for, and how do I insert myself into that and making that move forward? So, and I think that was something that can be sometimes it's that, well, that's a given, you should know that, and isn't necessarily always expressed to people in how to do their leadership. That really didn't come out very nicely, but you guys get what I'm talking about.
Totally understand.
It's beautifully done.
I haven't had all of my caffeine this morning, or my Spark.
I have some.
So the last question that I had for you guys was just for girls, for women who are looking to move their way up through leadership, what piece of advice would you give to them?
I would say listen. Listen to everything and everyone. That's part of the thing that I talk about in my book. As a teen girl, you don't want to listen to your parents, but that's the time you really need to listen.
Absolutely.
Because they're trying to get you out of trouble. You're going to get in some serious trouble. You don't like it, but you have to listen. To me, it's about listening and asking a lot of questions. And if I know you and I know you're going to be you're in a leadership position, I want to know how you got there. I want to know everything about it. So I'm going to be asking questions. That's my advice.
I think self-assessment is really important. Self-awareness, I'm a writer and I write about self-awareness, so I always jump back on that. But I think self-assessment is really important. If we can start teaching girls, as soon as high school level, to really, do the Myers-Briggs. Gretchen Rubin, she's a podcast leader. She talks about habits and habit, formations. And she has an interesting assessment that's on our response to expectations. How do you respond to expectations? And it puts you as, leader isn't one of them. I think it's upholder, questioners, rebels, and obligers. And so for me, as a young girl, I was very rebellious. And, at that stage in life, maybe it was, like, oh, stop rebelling. But those were my leadership skills coming forth, and it's funny, my dad actually did this experiment when I was 4 years old, and we were in an airport, and he I don't recommend this, but he we're going down the escalators. I don't remember it, but he tells me this, and he said, I just wanted to see if you were a follower or a leader, so I just let you go, and to see if you would come back running, say, Daddy, come, get hold on to my leg or something. And no, I just walked off, and he had to start running after me. So it was almost an inherited trait as like extrovert, introvert, but not to say that you can't cultivate and foster leadership qualities in individuals, but you can't force it on anyone. If you're naturally an extrovert, you can learn to be a better listener as an introvert, but naturally it's not going to come to you that easily.
Right.
So self-assessment, self-awareness, big.
Awesome.
Mine would be to know the difference between being bossy and mentorship. Those are two different things. I had a lot of bosses early on that were not mentoring, and I kind of followed their lead because I didn't know any difference. And then down the road, I had mentors. I thought, whoa, thank you that came along. But that those are different things. You don't. A boss doesn't necessarily always coach and guide and lead and have those qualities, and so don't get those confused.
Absolutely. Lakeisha?
I would say listening, like she said. Asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. And also look for mentors, right? Look for mentors.
Absolutely.
The mentors are everywhere. And look for mentors, get really good mentors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Listen. And don't be afraid to go for it, right? Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to go for it, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to at least try, because you never know what you can accomplish until you at least give it a try.
Absolutely, that would be
Yeah.
my thing. Is
Awesome.
that you need to, and that's the thing. That's the thing that our parents are always trying to get us to do, right? Is to try new things, that kind of stuff. And so, don't be so focused on what you think that you can do, but go and try. Give it a try. If you try and you don't like it, or you try and you're like, "Wow, that was horrendous." Okay, all right. Then you get the opportunity to, but just going ahead and giving it a try first, and making sure. Take the time that when you're a girl to explore all the things, and even when you're a woman and you've grown up. Because I'm older, but I don't know necessarily that I've grown up. So just never stop trying new things. So thank you very much. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you're catching us on the replay, please give us comments, questions, that kind of thing. We will be sure to answer them. Stay tuned until next month. We will be right back here talking to you again. Thank you.
Bye.